Hey, y'all, welcome to the Common Good Podcast. Jeez, Rob, it's already what is it, 21st or something? I'm looking at my calendar.
I
21st of July,
I know. Time is going
2026, year of our
so
Lord.
fast. It's insane.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah.
Feels like it's really moving. But a lot's happened since we were last together, my friend. I mean, the weather has turned very summery here in Minnesota. I'm guessing the weather's very
Mm.
summery there, squirreled away somewhere outside Fayetteville.
Crazy hot.
Uh-huh. Um, a lot's gone on, a lot in the political world we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Parker Duke Pagitt was born into the world since we last talked. Left the
Yeah.
safe confines of his mother's protection, entered the
Man.
world, and started breathing just like everybody else. And he's
I
pretty
don't know.
sweet for a little
Does that feel like
6-8-year-old.
a poor choice on his part?
Should have just stayed home. Should have stayed cozy.
Yeah. Just yeah. Just want to be like, dude, are you sure you want to do
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, life does compel us, though, doesn't it? It compels us right into all
Mhm.
the things that are like, maybe I should have stayed over there, like in bed this morning. And he's a sweet little kid. And as I wrote to some friends on a text when they were looking at his like 1 day old little face, like, oh, he's so precious. And I said, as a good Christian would, oh, wait till we put a couple drops of water on his forehead and wipe that sin away. He's really going to shine. Just wait until the church does a little upgrade on the child. Then he will live into
Yeah.
his full glory.
I grew up in the tradition that would just look at a precious little baby like that and say, that's total depravity.
Yeah, dirty, rotten little sinner.
Mm, and,
That,
no amount of water, a couple drops of water isn't gonna take that away.
no, they had to say something, right? Like, what did you have to in
Yeah.
your tradition? Was somebody had to say it? They had to believe it. They had to do it. Did they have to get baptized too? Did they have to get
No,
dipped,
no.
scooped, poured,
I mean,
dropped?
that's purely as an act of obedience after a profession of
Okay,
faith.
okay. Outward sign of an inward experience.
Yes. Yeah, something like that.
If let's just say for a minute, for people that come from the tradition of an outward sign of an inward experience, which is baptism, that people who use baptism as a choice that a person makes after, later in life, sort of paralleling maybe a coming of age narrative in Jewish tradition or something. Somewhere around 13 or 14, people will get baptized. If it is the outward sign of the inward experience that you're
Mhm,
going to be dipped into some water, maybe in a river. I've done that a bunch.
mhm,
Maybe in a tub in a church.
mhm,
Maybe with your
mhm,
regular summer clothes on. Maybe no shirt. Maybe a robe.
mhm,
Right? You get dipped under the
mhm,
water in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and then you come back up.
mhm.
An outward sign of an inward experience. And for a lot of people in those faith traditions, that's kind of a perfect match. That's pretty much what the inward experience was. Transformative experience was pretty much someone just taking a dip in a bath and coming back out. Like, it is such a silly thing at some levels and such a minuscule and unimportant thing to be the outward sign of the inward spiritual experience. Seems to me to be absolutely bonkers. How about a
Yeah,
smile or a hearty laugh? How about a
and
full throated, gut level laugh of joy is your outward
mhm.
sign of an inward experience? How about faith and patience and kindness and gentleness and self control being the outward sign of your inward experience? That dipping somebody into a pool or a river or a tub, it, and people would make such a big deal out of it. You'd get flowers,
Mhm.
folks would come, you can only do it once in your life in many of those traditions. Like, this is a big deal. And this is what you get? A backward dip? Did it ever strike you or is
It always struck me as odd because it always felt like a very, um, cultural thing that baptism held, being dipped in water held, um, cultural significance back in, biblical times. I don't know. Um, that in today's world, if like Jesus were to arrive into our society, um, the place you make a public profession of some kind of change is not down by the river being baptized. Like, would the Facebook post about your new faith be the sacrament in our culture? Would it be would it be buying an ad in a newspaper, 50 years ago? Would that be the way to publicly proclaim that I am now a follower of Jesus Christ? Which is what, in my tradition, what baptism was, like making that public proclamation. That seemed very like culturally dependent, that like the meaning of that
Yeah.
cultural thing of like, okay, I'm being baptized by this teacher, which means I'm going to follow like the way of this teacher. That cultural significance is lost today, and I wonder if we ought to abandon the like dipping in water and like take on some new, what is the equivalent of that? Like, oh, there's probably a social media thing. It's just amusing to me, like how things I think that were culturally bound become,
Yeah, right.
well, this is
Well,
this is the way we do it.
and not only do they get held over, classic religious move that something happened at a time of meaning in a society and a culture, often thousands of years ago, but it gets recast as a whole different meaning, which is the thing that
Mm.
is troublesome to me. But
Hmm.
in the Jewish community that Jesus was in, when Jesus was baptized by John in the Jordan River, baptisms were a common practice of initiating or beginning a new stage of life.
Yeah.
That gets totally recast into
Yeah.
you are now
Yeah.
entering into a spiritual community. You will do it once and it becomes an outward sign of an inward
Yes.
experience, or it
Yes.
becomes a mark that the church carries the
So
power.
how do we so how like and this is where my brain goes, is how do we indicate that we have initiated a new stage in our life? It's a LinkedIn post. It's a UJ,
Sure,
like it's a LinkedIn post.
yeah, or you have a
Like that's what it
ceremony,
is.
or you get a couple people together, you cheer some glass. Like we d and look, I am all for that. I am all for that kind of the thing I'm getting at is not initiations, is not baptisms, is not outward signs of a thing. What the Baptists would do, and this is the world that I was hanging around these folks too, is they would be like, no, your spiritual experience is now marked by us controlling in a high level control environment. You taking one dip, or in some traditions, you get dipped three times: Father, Son,
Mhm.
Holy Spirit, or often in those traditions, they'd say Holy Ghost. You get three dips. So it's 1 to 3 dips, or you get a little water spread on you, or you get something poured over you. And that is like one and done. This is it. This is the outward sign of the inward experience. And I'll just say, yeah, that kind of maps. I mean, that's about how much spiritual change has gone on for people
Yeah.
by inserting outward sign of spiritual of inward experience of spiritual rebirth, as opposed to an initiation. At Solomon's Porch, where I was a pastor for a long time, we would do baptisms down by the river, and we would do this whole thing. We'd say, look, in Jewish traditions like the one Jesus was in, and many traditions still, people would write their sins or take a leaf or a
Mm.
piece of paper or something that would sort of mark their sin. They would drop it into the living waters and acknowledge that the living waters of God's mercy and grace are taking that from you. And there's a metaphorical washing. You do it
Mhm.
every year. You might do it after a difficult time. You might do it after a particular period of time. In fact, menstruating women in those societies would do it at the end of a menstrual cycle. It was a common practice. Baptism also for adults. The reason John's out baptizing in the river is not for a one-time, one and done outward sign of an inward experience. It's like initiating people. Do you want to join in the kingdom of God? Cross the river. Yeah, cross the threshold. Enter in, dive in. Right. That it's like this which we do that stuff all the time where people are excited about a thing they're going to do. They go off to school, they do a running race, they launch a new business. We have all kinds of we I don't know, we break champagne bottles on ships or some nonsense. Like that's all great. And then Christianity gets a hold of it, locks it down, changes the meaning, tells people how important it is, and then argues for centuries whether or not people who were dipped and not poured or sprinkled rather than dunked aren't in or are in. And that's the part that just literally you don't have to throw the baby out with the baptism water. Hey, when did we stop throwing water out?
How did we, oh, seriously,
How did we get in
how
this?
did we end up here? Oh, you were talking about new grandson.
Yeah. Can't wait to wash his little sin away.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, we are going to talk about
we are
the best president ever.
The
there's people who even think that
bestest.
that the bestest of the restest.
Yeah.
They even think that so some people's standards of quality are so driven down. I remember eating a grilled cheese sandwich for the first time that was not made on white bread and Velveeta cheese. And people saying, "Oh, this is a quality bread, quality." They said real cheese. I was in college. I didn't know that Velveeta was not cheese. I didn't know that it was an orange-colored soy product.
Processed cheese food.
Yeah, cheese like I guess it's like how almond milk isn't milk. No, yeah, milk and little almonds. I didn't know that stuff. But some people, if this is your view of the bestest president ever from the comment, I hear you. Hang on. We'll help you see why maybe it's a corrupt, counterfeit, harmful person
Doug,
who's ill-equipped for his job.
We are practicing this week being empty nesters. Whimsy is at camp. Took her on Sunday. Took several hours of sitting in the very long car line, and they have gotten more efficient in how they do it, which is great.
You sat for hours after arriving at the camp to unload?
Yeah, it was rough. And then, we do this thing where, they take their swim test, and then, we were gonna, hey, you want us to walk you back up to your cabin and help you get your bunk settled and make your bed and get it. No.
She was one and done.
No, you guys can go. Okay.
I got it from here.
Yeah. So, yeah, but we are practicing what could have been, really, what could have been.
Because you had a child later in your lives.
Yes, because Whimsy's siblings are all in their 20s, and their camp experiences are well behind them.
But when you're in your aged years and those people aren't coming to see you and only Whimsy is, you're also say to yourself,
yeah, we did all right.
Think about what could have been. But she's still hanging around. Hey, I had an experience this week that made me feel good about societal development and cultural progress. I mean, I'm somebody who views that the world is better now than any other time. And I would be delighted to enter into that conversation with anybody who wants to tell me which other time in human existence they would rather live. Especially as a regular person. Is there a time you'd feel better than now? I mean, I'm not saying now is perfect. I'm just saying it's a little better, a little improvement. In the state of Minnesota, we pay an annual tax for owning and operating a vehicle that can drive on the roads. Here we call it a tabs, license tab fee. And you have to get these every year, and you can't set it up on an auto renew. And many
Mm-hmm.
times in life, they would send you, in my life, they've sent you a piece of paper in the mail. You have to
Yep.
have that piece of paper. You have to fill it out and then enter a check. And then later you could enter a credit card number and then mail it back into them. Then they would send you a sticky, an envelope with little sticky numbers that have the year on them.
That
And then
you
it got
then
up.
affix to your license plate.
Thank you. Yeah. Then you pop it over the year. And if you've got an older car, you got a real thick
Mm-hmm.
stack of
Yes.
the and it's a real
Yeah.
sign. If
Yep.
you find an old
Yep.
license plate that's got a big
Yep.
thick stack on it.
Yeah.
Some
Yep.
people I know try to, take those off after a while, but I like to just go right over the top.
Oh yeah.
Then we got to online
Mm-hmm.
registration where they would send you an email, you would go online, and then in the state of Minnesota for a long time, they'd only take certain credit cards, like only MasterCard, or you still had to use a debit card. And then you would send it in, and if you remembered, if your email got checked or you noticed your license plate or you set a reminder, you would know to get that thing started, and it would take about 90 days sometime, up to 90 days. So they're like, hey, get started 3 months ahead of time because we've got to send you.
Wow.
So I noticed that my vehicle turns over in July. This is 2 days ago. I'm like, oh man, I wonder how long it's going to take. I got to print this. I've got to register online and pay the money, and then I've got to print the thing out. So I carry it in my car in case an officer of the peace wants to be sure that I've paid and I can show it to him, and maybe they won't give me a extra fine. And I'm like, okay, I got it. So I look online, like, where's the web? What website is it now? Because there's a bunch of fake ones, not fake ones. There's a bunch of them that do it for you, but they're like not the .gov, they're the .coms, the .orgs, and they charge you stuff. I don't know what they're doing, but
yeah.
And then I saw that it said, renew your tabs at a kiosk.
Oh.
And I clicked on it. And it opened a map. Enter your zip code, and we'll tell you where the kiosks are nearest you. So I entered my zip code. Within a few miles, there was a Cub grocery store listed.
Okay. Never heard of a Cub grocery store, but
it's just a little local brand, the super value brand around here. So I went to the Cub grocery store and said to the person behind the customer service desk, is there a kiosk? Because I'm still real iffy about this. This can't possibly be true. Yeah, it's right over there. I go over, and honest to life, there's a kiosk. You enter in the last 4 of your VIN, you enter in your license plate, you enter in your street address.
Did you have to go back out to the car to get your VIN?
Nope. I saw when it said the kiosk, it said you're going to have that. And I knew enough. So I taken a picture of both things, license plate number and VIN number, punched it in, put the credit card in. It printed out my tabs.
Amazing.
I walked out of that store as if we had cured cancer. I mean, I was like, there's nothing we can't do as human beings. We have figured out in the state of Minnesota that you can register your tabs as easily as buying a lottery ticket, because it was right next to the lottery ticket, sales, and the Bitcoin converter deal. It's a seedy grocery store, like one of those things. And I just thought, what can't we do? We can survive 914 days of this guy. We can rebuild America. We can save democracy. We figured out that you don't have to lock down the tab purchase into a bureaucratic structure of 90 days of return.
Yeah.
So I just
and I would say this, Doug. Whenever we figure out how to make things easier, not harder, that makes life better for people. And as we have done that for renewing your registration, renewing your plates in Minnesota, maybe we ought to bring that same energy to things that are so fundamental to humanity, to being an American, like, I don't know, voting. Meanwhile, what we heard this week, hey, I'm making a transition
That's
here into
great. Yeah, you don't have to
the
tell us.
content of the
Just
day.
do it.
Yeah,
Just do it.
just
You
do it.
you,
Just
you
do it.
messed it
Just
up.
keep going. Yeah, I got all like
Yeah, you got
self-aware.
all proud of
Uh,
yourself.
I'm like, watch this transition I'm making. So
I'm
we
going to
saw.
tell you what card you're thinking of.
Yes, that's right. The president gave this speech about election security.
Yes,
Um, was that what day was that? It was Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah. First day of life
Um,
for Parker Duke Pagitt. The president of the United
yeah.
States went on and said nonsense
Yeah. Really amazing
every day of his life.
how um not well received this speech was. Um, apparently the next morning on Fox and Friends went on for 3 hours and never once mentioned the president's primetime address to the nation the night before.
Is that so? Wow.
Yeah, apparently. So, so the president goes on TV to give a speech. And it's always amusing watching him read from the teleprompter, and then you can tell when he goes off script, which is it's just always
Yes.
amusing to me. Relitigating the 2020 election.
Yeah.
Can
Still
Still.
constantly.
I've noticed as people in my life have aged and moved into, um, the higher numbers of the number of years that they've lived. I observed a tendency to like retell stories.
Mm-hmm.
You get the same story, like, oh no, you already told me this story. Oh,
Yep.
we're getting it again. And that's what we're getting from the president of the United States. He just keeps retelling the same story.
Yeah.
It's like, Grandpa, we've heard this one.
And look, there are times where you want to hear a story again. You put on
Oh,
Cats in the Cradle. You
yes.
want to hear the story about the dad that didn't have time for his kid, and then the kid doesn't have time for his dad. It just sits close to your heart. You want to hear about the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald as you sing along. You want to watch a storyline on the show Pitt, which I've gotten into. And Shelley said, we're almost done with the second season.
so
She's
good.
like, I want to watch it again. Some stories you want to hear more than once. The I love you story, you want to hear it daily. Tell me again how much you love me. You know what you don't want to hear? The stories about your grandpa's golf outing where he's sure his buddy kicked the ball out of the rough and then stood with his shadow over the hole so your grandpa missed the putt, and hear him whine and complain about 7 years ago when he's sure he got wronged and everybody else is like, no, you didn't. You don't want to hear that story.
Yeah.
The president of the United States could have gone on television and told the story of America. He could have gone on and told the story of the great economic comeback after COVID relief money boosted the economy to the point that inflation went up and then supply met up with the money that people had and the demand that they had. And baby, we are back. He could have told that story. And he could have told that story once a month for the next 914 days. But that's not a real story because he's ruined it. And he wants to tell us again about why we should have released the Kraken.
Yeah. There's
2021.
a couple of things here. I would love to just remind the president that when allegedly, in his telling of the story, foreign nations were influencing our elections, when foreign nations were acquiring sensitive voter data, when foreign nations like China were working to, potentially do something, well, like there's actually no proof that they actually did this, but they had the capability of doing it. When all of this was happening, he was president of the United States. His people were in charge of the CIA, Homeland Security, the National Intelligence. Like, this, if this happened, parenthetically, which it didn't, if this happened, it happened on his watch.
And
And
his
he
argument,
tries to protect himself by saying
Yeah.
the deep state,
yes,
we're keeping this from him. Why are you so incompetent that you hired leaders in the FBI, the CIA, and other agencies who could not run their agencies well?
yes,
This was after 4 years.
yeah,
4 years of your leadership.
yes,
And you are so ineffective that you could not make a difference in these something as critical and as sacred as voting in America.
right, right,
You are a failure.
yes. And the guy who I was trying to look it up here, the name of the person who in 2020 Trump had in charge of basically liaisoning with the government officials who would have had this information is now somebody who's still involved in his administration.
Of course.
So who got fired in your administration, or who's going to be fired now for keeping that information from you? I mean, Mr. President, if you think that important information was kept from the American people and from you, and you have proof of it, just tell us who had the information, who kept it, who protected them, and let's fix it.
And Barack Hussein Obama, too.
Obama.
There were 2 names mentioned.
Okay. Yeah, those guys who are apparently like overseeing the administration of longtime non-political government officials across the sectors.
Yeah.
While they were out of office,
So
while
ridiculous.
Sleepy Joe was living in his basement.
Yeah.
And Barack Obama was, I don't know, making Netflix movies, which I hope he makes one.
Here's what I want to know, Doug. I want to know why does Donald Trump hate America?
Why does he hate America? I don't know. I don't understand. Well, maybe it's because he's just had such a hard time making it. Hey, you know, if you were concerned about foreign governments interfering in our election, why do you say Russia? If you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press. Why would you say Russia? Find the emails that are the center of a campaign debate in the United States presidential race that you are the candidate in. Why, if you're bothered by other governments influencing our election, do you go on television and call for Russia to engage with our press to communicate things that would matter to people about the election? It is, I know what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to say our administration was the one that was harmed by interference, not we collaborated with Russia in 2016. But you know what nobody wants to talk about and care about any longer? The Mueller report. Donald Trump and Paul Manafort and all of his cronies literally being tied in with Ukraine and
The
and
yeah.
Russia interfering in our
For
election.
yeah.
Nobody
And
wants to talk about it anymore.
and listen, for many of us, when we think back over the course of our lives, you say, "What was the worst year of my life?"
Hmm.
Many Americans would say 2020.
Mm.
It was a year of COVID. It was a year of death, lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
It was a year that changed everything. It was like
Yeah.
one of those dividing lines in history kind of things.
Yeah. And for Trump supporters, it was the year that Trump lost the election. He got
Yeah,
abandoned by
but
America.
he keeps he wants to keep reminding
Dragons.
Americans of a year that they associate with some of the worst experiences of their lives. And
Yes.
none of us want to go back to 2020.
No.
2020 was miserable. 2020 was where we learned phrases like social distancing.
Yes.
Like it was not a good year. It was not a good
Millions
year.
of people suffered and died around the globe.
A million Americans
A
died.
million American around the globe, tens of millions of people. So terrible. And he's not bringing up, hey, I know you're all dealing with a lot of still residual pain from 5 and 6 and 7 years ago, and we're here for you, and we're in this
No,
together.
no.
No. He's literally talking about China, Venezuela, and utter nonsense that even
Yeah,
people who support him and wanted him to be president would want him to be president again are like,
yeah.
why is he talking about this? Now, friends, I hear this all the time. People are like, because he's laying a pretext so that he will interfere with the elections. He is not. Here's 2 points on that. The man never lays pretext for anything. Doesn't need pretext. What do you mean? He needs to, like, if he was going to take over elections, he needs to, like, convince people to agree with him. He doesn't worry about convincing people to agree with him. He just does it. He just tears down the East Wing. He just sends ICE agents into American cities, killing American citizens. He doesn't try to convince anyone of anything. He's not laying a groundwork for convincing people that he has the right to take over elections. They've been trying to take over elections without convincing anyone of anything. They don't care. This is not pretext. And secondly, he didn't even use it as pretext. He
No.
just said you have to pass a bill through Congress. And the reason ABC and CBS, if it was CBS or
NBC.
NBC, didn't cover the speech is because when a president says, I want to address the nation on this topic, and they see what the speech is, because they're often given it ahead of time, and it's a political speech by their estimation,
Mhm.
they're not obligated to run it because you're
No.
not doing your presidential duty, you're doing your political duty. So when
Yep.
Joe Biden did his talk in Philadelphia
Oh,
as
I
president
hated that speech. Oh, I hated
about
that speech.
democracy, these same networks didn't cover it because they said this is a political conversation. When
Yeah.
Barack Obama talked about what they were going to do on the border with limiting the amount of people who could enter the country and increasing deportations, they even said then, President Obama, this is a political speech to gain you political points, not a crucial issue that needs to be addressed to the country. Same with Donald Trump. He talks a lot just because he wants everyone to listen to him. News outlets have their
Yeah.
own criteria.
Yep.
And
Yep.
all the
Now,
snowflakes in the conservative media who are whining and complaining because it wasn't covered, the best thing for them was that people watching, I don't know,
oh,
baseball and The Bachelor and Seinfeld reruns didn't have to listen to this guy speak incoherently for 30 minutes.
about 2020.
On a
Um,
topic nobody
Doug,
cares about.
I mean, the real positive coming out of this, though, is that the files have finally been released. E-files have been released.
E-files.
The Epstein files?
Oh, the
No,
Epstein
no,
files.
no, no.
Nope.
The Amelia Earhart file? Nope, nope. No, these are the election files that
Election files.
yeah.
That-
Not the files we wanted released, Don.
Yep.
So as a part of all of these documents that were declassified and released by the president, I did see a report that in one of them there is some email conversation between a couple of intelligence officers, and they're talking about how the most effective thing that a foreign entity that was unfriendly to the United States, the most effective thing they could do is not to actually hack our elections, but the most effective thing they could do is convince Americans that they had and that their votes were not trustworthy. And what's so interesting is that what Donald Trump has done is he has done that very thing.
Yeah.
He has convinced some Americans that that voting can't be trusted.
Yep.
And he has once again served as the useful idiot for our
Our adversaries.
our foreign adversaries.
Yeah, and I heard
He has done their work for them.
I was in a conversation with a person who was a big Trump supporter and or a big conservative, but not really a Trump supporter. And he was saying, Democrats would never get elected to hardly any seats if there weren't illegal immigrants, illegal aliens voting. The only way Democrats get elected is that people who shouldn't be voting in America are voting. Like this is just the beginning point of thinking about the world. Like there's been a constant movement for the last 50 years from Republicans that too many people are voting and we don't know who they are. Neither of which is true. Not enough people vote in a population our size. We know exactly. Here, Rob, here's how we know that we know who they are. Because Donald Trump is worried that China is getting its hands on what? The voter rolls.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't know who's voting, how are there voter rolls that someone
Doug,
that
I
not only
literally
can China get, but you and I could go and download because they're public information.
I literally last night was in there's a tool called VAN, Voter Access Network or something like that. I was literally in VAN last night looking at some potential voters here in my district, and it would click on a little button.
Just looking at their names. Like it wasn't bringing you into like their webcams or into their ring cameras at their house, right?
That's right. That's right.
You weren't.
It's not that much access.
You weren't spying on them.
Looking at their names, and then I could click the little thing, and it would show me exactly which elections they voted in.
Mm-hmm. Not who they voted for.
No, because there's no way to know that.
Just did they show up, and did they cast a ballot?
Yes. This information is like here in Arkansas, you can get anybody could get all of that information. Yeah. They will send you an email with a link to the file. It costs $2.50
US.
Yeah, I don't know what it is in yen. Yeah, and what are they using?
That's a joke
China?
My buddy and I do. Whenever money's made, we're always like US. It's US dollars.
US, yeah,
because we're international.
Yeah. Donald Trump won't leave the stage when it comes. Like, listen, he He is still on the 2020 election stage. He can't wrap
Can't get
his
off
head
it.
around the fact that he lost. He lost.
And the number here's the other thing that people should be encouraged about when it comes to our elections. In Arkansas, the list that you looked at, the number of people, the people who had said voted in this election, that corresponds with the number of votes cast. They know how many people voted in the elections, and they know the names and addresses of people who voted. We don't need any adjustments to the system that the states are not already putting in place to protect the ballot. What they are doing is removing people from the voter rolls, from the voter registration rolls, so that a person will show up to vote who hasn't voted an election or two or moved, and all of a sudden to find out, oh, I can't vote right now. I have to fill out a provisional ballot, and then I have to prove. They're making it more complicated because we keep track of the people who vote. So, friends, when you meet someone like the person I was talking to, or you run into a Donald Trump on the street somewhere, and they're like, voting is chaos, we don't even know, just remind them there are people in every state. And you know who doesn't run voting in America?
The federal government.
Yep. And if you go to bed tonight worried that Donald Trump is going to interfere in the election, he is not. He might say, hey, Russia, if you want to interfere in our election, you will be mightily rewarded, because he is glad to reward Russia for interfering in our elections. But let's just be honest. Every significant government in the world has tried to influence our elections. The United States has tried to influence elections all over the country. We had radio stations broadcasting around the world. We have whole campaigns to influence elections. Sometimes we try to move money from point A to point B to influence an election in Iran. It's what countries do. Stop whining, everybody. Turn out and if you're unfamiliar with the show Patriot, that's right.
Oh, you just got me. You got me with the move from point A to point B.
It's more complicated than you think to move an item from point A to point B. Elections in America are going to happen this November. They're going to happen in November of 2028. And people who don't want Donald Trump and his tribe to be the president, or members of Congress, or members of state legislatures, or members of the school board will have a chance to make their say. And people on the side of common good, on election day in 2024, the majority of people who chose to vote in that election picked Donald Trump. Don't fool yourself. Now, I know people will say it in here, and I have friends that are like, I don't believe the election. He stole it. He didn't get that number of votes. I'm not having that conversation. He won because more people voted for him. You know what needs to happen next time? More people need to vote for the people who are not on the side of Donald Trump.
Yep.
And
because you won't
they
leave the
should
stage.
be, because he's terrible, because he couldn't even go to the World Cup.
Oh, my heart.
And,
so
and
funny.
frankly, just act.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I am sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. Can't he just behave like a normal human?
Nope, he can't.
So what happens at the World Cup, Doug? And listen, I am now, having watched one World Cup, I feel like I'm a football expert.
One match, or did you watch?
I feel like I watched much of this World Cup.
Okay, well,
I
Sharon
didn't
asked a question a while ago, our World Cup analyst. Why was the World Cup hosted by the United States? Do you know?
it's like the Olympics. It rotates. It
Yeah,
like
they make bids and
they
stuff.
choose. Yeah, they choose, and we won the bid. Yeah,
That's all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, was there shenanigans involved? Probably, but there's always shenanigans involved with these kinds of things.
FIFA apparently is just long
Super corrupt.
term, deeply
Yeah.
corrupt.
I mean, FIFA and distributors of really the greatest peace prize on the planet, the FIFA Peace Prize, awarded to Donald Trump. You remember that, don't you? When he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize,
Yes. So he got the FIFA
he was given
Peace Prize.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like winning
So,
the puppy Super Bowl at halftime instead of the Super Bowl.
that's right. That's right. Which, by the way, let me tell you, the World Cup finals. Did you watch the game between Spain and
I didn't
Argentina?
watch no, I did not watch the championship
No.
game. I watched the pre-game, the one before that, when there were 4 teams.
I got to tell you that the World Cup halftime show,
Yeah.
terrible, especially compared to a Super Bowl halftime show. Really, it was
You're such a Donald
just
Trump.
not well done.
Terrible.
Not well done. And I mean, there were many stars: Madonna, Shakira, BTS, Justin Bieber,
They played at
other people. Yeah,
Oh, don't know anything.
terrible, not good. Doug, apparently there's a tradition in the World Cup where when the team wins, they are presented with the World Cup trophy.
Okay.
And there's a
nice.
thing where they lift the trophy. Much like in hockey when they win the Stanley Cup and then they all like hold it over their heads and skate around the rink. There's a thing where they lift the trophy, where they all kind of bend down and they lift the trophy. It's a big celebration. It's a
lovely.
it's a ritual. It's a marking their baptism into world championship.
It's an outward sign of their inward experience.
Yes, they are world champions. Special moment for the players. This team that has worked so hard over the last 6 weeks to accomplish this together. Doug, if you were one of those players, would you want the political leader of another nation photobombing your ritual?
That's awesome.
Donald Trump, hand off the trophy. As the president of the host nation, you hand off the trophy, you congratulate the winners, and you get out of the way.
Walk
you
away.
Leave the stage, because this is the moment for these players to lift that trophy, to celebrate their accomplishment together. There's a thing for them. There's a media moment in it. There's it's a one shining moment, from the
Cover of a cereal
NCAA.
box.
It's that thing.
Yep.
And there's that guy.
Rob, you've done a number of ceremonies for people's weddings, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. So let me give you an analogy. My sister's wedding.
Okay.
My sister's wedding. When the wedding was over, before the reception, they were taking some pictures, which is always a groan kind of thing. Cause how long is the pictures going to take? And I'm hungry and I want to eat and all this. My sister's wedding. They staged different pictures, and the photographer stages a kiss between my sister and her new husband, and then positions the pastor who married them in the background watching this kiss. Doug, it is the most awkward and hilarious picture. It is so this. There's some things there's some moments you just get out of the way.
Yeah.
Get out. We don't need
this.
This should be about these players Not, not this
Yes.
guy just standing there.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Ajax ON
I'm
says
so
that
sick of this shit.
they had to edit
Mm,
Trump out for the official photo.
yeah, they did. Yeah.
And then Trump threatened to stop all trade with Spain. Yeah, look, when you do a ceremony, wedding ceremony, and you stand there in front of the couple, and you're announcing them, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and privilege to present to you for the very first time, Robb and Vanessa Ryerse. As the clergy person, you step away.
Yes.
So that the photographer and the attention, and you join the audience and you applaud because you had a perfunctory role to play,
ceremonial
in their outward sign of their inward experience. You stepped aside. You don't throw your arms around them and say, "Where are we going for lunch?" Like, it is just, this is so
where's the honeymoon?
Simple. It's just, I have this little thing that I do when there's a group of people, or sometimes if it's just two people that are trying to get a selfie somewhere, and you walk by and you're like, "Hey, would you like me to take the photo?"
I
for
have
you?
learned this from you. I do this all the
And
time
as they
now
go to
because I
get
learned it from
positioned,
you.
I look at their phone as they want me to, and then I flip the camera around by pushing the button, and I take a smiley picture of myself. And then I flip it back and I take the photos, because I want them then to be going through the photo and then to run into that picture and be like, "Oh, that guy got us. Oh, that's funny." Because it's absurd that my picture is on their phone. It's absurd that they had wanted a picture of them, and I inserted myself into it.
It's
Because
absurd that Donald Trump
has
is
no sense of humor, and this is documented and well understood.
Yep.
He doesn't understand things. He just
I mean, I don't know about you, but I am sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. Can't he just behave like a normal human?
I love that so much. He cannot behave like a normal human being.
No.
Just over and over and over again. And look, if it was just he was awkward, we would just be picking on an awkward old man.
Yeah.
But all of that social awkwardness has global and domestic impact.
Yeah.
Because it becomes the reason and the rationale.
Don't want to push the analogy too far, but he won't leave the stage when it comes to Iran either. Like, hey, buddy.
Hey, bro.
Like, all of a sudden we're back at war with Iran.
Our 47th war with Iran in this administration, because they keep ending, and then of course he restarts them.
Iranian civilians dying, American soldiers dying. He just won't stop. Like, and pushing for it's really disconcerting, because Iran's not going anywhere.
No.
It will either, the choice that we have here is trying to get back to what was true before all of this began, the Straits of Hormuz being open and Iran having agreed to some restrictions on their nuclear capabilities, like they did in the agreement when President Obama was president.
Yeah, they agreed to less restrictive effect on their nuclear program than when Obama was president. Donald Trump negotiated down the amount of influence that the United States could have.
Or the utter obliteration of a civilization. Like it.
And of course not. Of course not.
This is, he has put the United, and more importantly, put the United States in what really feels like a no-win situation with Iran. And he has done it purely for himself.
And they're
just like just like he gave the speech on Thursday night about 2020 because it's all about him. Just like he was on the stage with the Spanish football players celebrating as they lifted the cup because it's all about him. And now he has put the future of our country at risk, quite literally, because it's all about him.
And look, Iran won't even let Trump surrender. He keeps trying to surrender. He keeps surrendering to them. We have a deal. I've surrendered. And they're like, not yet. He is held hostage. There is an Iranian hostage crisis because he is held hostage by the fact that they've got him and they are not letting him out of their death grip. And we're stuck with the guy. He could resign the presidency tomorrow and the issues with Iran would be solved. We go right back to where things were under Obama, and it would be better than anything Trump is saying he wants to negotiate. Hey, I've got to go. You know why, Rob? I'm going to see.
I do know why.
I'm going to see The Odyssey.
That's excellent.
The movie. 3-hour movie in the IMAX.
Tuesday morning movie?
Okay, here's why. Because apparently this movie is a big deal, especially to my daughter. She bought the tickets. This was created by Christopher Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
It was explicitly shot to play in certain IMAX theaters.
Of which there are 25 in the nation.
One of those is 1 mile from my house.
Oh, fantastic.
I am going to go sit in that theater for 3 hours. I probably have to urinate 11 times over the course of that. Because, it's morning.
Yeah.
And I'm aged.
That's right.
And I'm going to enjoy a film that has the conservative right all up in arms because they don't like the way mythical characters have been casted.
Yeah.
As if a movie retelling has to follow some level of mythical fidelity that you imagined in your little brain, Elon Musk.
Yes.
For Elon Musk to be complaining about the casting decisions in a movie.
Yeah.
They
do this all the time.
It's so
they do this
bonkers.
All the time. They got upset about the casting of the Little Mermaid. Like, this is not a real thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
what casting decision we should be bothered by? The casting of the very real president.
Yes. The one made by the American people.
Hey, E.L. Bryant 1226 wrote his comment from the great city of Minneapolis. He's one of our regulars here on the channel on YouTube, and he's in Minneapolis. We got to have lunch on go for a little tour of the city. Ed, good to see you. Thanks for being here. I told Ed we were going to be on later in the afternoon because I knew that I had this Odyssey. Is the movie called The Odyssey or is it called Odysseus?
Yeah.
Odyssey. The Odyssey.
Yeah,
and I got to go because I can't be late. I was given very strict commands. The film starts on time. There's no chance.
Have a blast.
There's no chance. I will report back with a film review on The Odyssey. But now I feel like I need to go see it in another theater so I can compare the designed theater.
That is 6 hours of your life.
I know. It's 3.
Do you think Donald Trump will show up in the credits?
A hearty guitar
there
practice.
As the credits roll.
Full 18 holes of golf. A Wimbledon championship. Worthy of 3 hours.
Trump speech.
Do we really need 180 minutes to tell the story? I'm going to take some notes and send them off on maybe what a quick edit could help with. Somehow
just tighten this thing up
to get to
have fun.
3 hours. All right, thanks everybody. Anything else we need to? Anybody we need to recognize? Anything we need to?
Yeah, all the great folks who are commenting, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're really glad to be here. Hey, you know, if Donald Trump wants people to pay attention to him, you know what he should do?
He should resign. You know,
And just start a
if
YouTube channel. Just start a
Hey,
YouTube
hey,
channel.
listen.
People can
Hey,
look at it all
Don.
day.
Oh, just one final note. Hey, Mr. President, if you're watching, and I know you probably are, because we're the #1 progressive Christian podcast in America. Hey, Mr. President, if you want all of the networks to cover your primetime address to the American public, let it be your resignation speech.
Resign.
They'll all cover it.
I will resign the presidency as of noon tomorrow. Borrow that phrase. It's not yours, but it's okay.
They will all cover it.
Everyone will cover it. Go stand in the mall. Invite them all there.
Leave the stage.
Point their cameras at you.
Walk off the stage.
If you said,
get on to Marine One.
I will leave the presidency on the 4th of November after the election. And all I ask is that every day from now until November 4th, I have a primetime presidential address to the American people. We would all take that deal.
Yep.
You got it, baby.
Just leave the stage.
Just
and you